So these are really cool. We do these every so often. We invite major figures in the music industry to come and see us. So we've invited you, and thank you for coming to see us.
Yeah,
really appreciate the time you've taken. I know you're busy. So we really appreciate the time. So I could introduce you. I could kind of describe you, and it would probably be inaccurate. So how would you describe yourself? You do so many things.
All right. So first and foremost, I'm just a DJ. That's it. Like, I appreciate the intro, but I'm not some mythical figure or anything like that. I'm a fucking dope DJ though. So first and foremost, everything I've ever done is for being a fan of music, and that's it. I'm not different to anybody in this room, but the only thing is I put in 20,000 hours with the DJing side of things.
Yes.
So that's it. Within my journey to being a DJ, I've done a lot of things, like everything from working across labels, working with artists, tearing up stages, touring, radio shows, worked with some of the biggest artists of our time, been privileged to work with some of the biggest artists of our time, and I've moved many crowds. So.
I'm going to take you all the way back to Manchester. We love Manchester.
Best city on earth.
Amazing place. I've had loads of really good times there.
Yeah.
You were promoting clubs at the Hacienda. Amazing place.
Yeah.
Synonymous with house music,
Yeah.
dance music in general.
Yeah.
Now, the club nights that you promoted, what were they? What kind of club nights were they?
I mean, let's take it even further back. So basically, I used to be a hip hop dancer. I used to have the high top and everything like that. Me and my friends used to go to the youth club. It was amazing. Like, we all just go there to listen to music. It was like, we didn't realize at the time how important that was, but we just bring records down and we put each other onto different things. So from then, we all took different paths. Some of them went the other way, some of them went a different way.
Yeah.
But I was just obsessed with music. I was a nerd. So I kept buying records. I'd turn up at nightclubs asking them to play certain records. People hated that, but I did it anyway. And then I thought, I can do this. Like, I do it myself.
Yeah.
So the money that I had, I bought these Stanton belt drive turntables. They're the worst, but they're the best to practice on. I was talking to my good friend Steel Bangles this week, and he was saying the same thing. He had those as well. So I trained on them. That was my training. That was my dojo, my bedroom DJ. And what I found very, very, very early on is you're very isolated out here. Nobody puts you on. Nothing's fair. No one wants to see you win. It's like you've got to win yourself. You got to put yourself on. That's what I learned from day one. So, mentioning the Hacienda and everything else, that's the glamour and glitz. That's the glossy part of the story. The reality is, I was doing house parties on the estates. I was doing shubs, blues, everything. I was DJing from like 9 o'clock at night till 6 in the morning, getting paid £20. It covered the taxi fare home. Carrying my own decks and my own records. Like, we, and I say we, many people who've done the same thing as me, you do sacrifices and you do pay the cost just purely for the art, to be a part of it. I wasn't making music and I was just DJing. So I was doing all of this stuff just to be heard as a DJ, like, because I was obsessed with showing people what's new music and everything. So I did summers of shubs, blues, like some of the most ghetto parties ever. And then I moved into the student side of things. And I went to university purely with the intention of being a DJ. I picked the course which had the most responsibility, the least responsibility. So I could pass it, right? So I could pass it, and then but at the same time just tap into that student audience for DJing.
Yeah.
But what I was doing, what I didn't realize at the time, I was teaching myself marketing, I was teaching myself the basic business skills, I was teaching myself, I was a creative, entrepreneurial person at that time. I didn't even know it. This was almost like a second degree.
Yeah.
I was doing human communication, which I was like, this will be easy. And actually, that actually helped me with everything that I do to this day. Even doing this talk right now, the degrees helped me doing human communication.
Yeah.
So, I can talk to someone on the roads about doing a deal or something, but I can talk to an artist and get them to talk about stuff that they didn't realize they wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
I can talk to a chairman of a company. That's what that course has helped me do, basically. But on top of that, learning aspects of promotion, business, and everything else, just so I can put myself in a room to DJ, because nobody was putting me on. Promoters they weren't giving me a break. And I'm not sounding salty now, but it was just a lesson. I accept it. That's how it is. I tell people all the time, no one's going to put you on. You got to put yourself on. So it's an invaluable lesson. At the time, it hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
I'm dope. Why is no one putting me on?
Yeah.
And then it's like, but it's just a lesson that you learn, So, and then I got to situations where I could put on babes at the hacienda.
Okay. So known for dance music, known for house music.
Yeah.
What were your raves? What kind of functions did you put on? You did put on hip hop at the hacienda.
I brought over DJs. Like I only did a couple. Like I brought over a DJ called Tony Touch.
Yeah.
He's a big American hip hop DJ. I made no money. Like when you put on your own nights, you make nothing.
Yeah.
You work like. I was doing fly postering outside clubs at 3 a.m, giving out flyers in the rain, pleading with people to come to the rave and everything. If you make £200, it's a win. It's a win. But look at all them hours, like those hours of manpower to go into it. It's like, you get more money working at McDonald's.
So, doing those functions at the hacienda, what did they teach you about music, and what did they teach you about people?
The venues taught me nothing about music. What taught me about music is artists. What taught me about music was mixtapes, and notes on the back of records, how they were put together, who was producing them, who was mastering them. I was learning about recording engineers and mastering engineers and everything else. Like I learned that from the actual, vinyls. I think with venues, what I learned was most venue managers are bastards. That's what I learned. And they don't want you in there. That's what I learned. It's changed now. But with what I learned from doing every party, I learned more doing the parties on the estates in Cheetham Road than I did doing the venue. Because those, you gotta move the crowd. You gotta change the rhythm quick. Like if people wanna hear bashment, play bashment. People wanna hear like R&B or classic like soul, play that. Give them what they want. That's what I learned from doing the house parties, the hood parties. You gotta give people what they want. It's not about what you want to hear. What you want to hear, you put on mixtapes. That's what I learned. But I learned that literally from the streets. I learned that from sitting in my friends' cars and then playing a mixtape and then them forwarding tracks that they don't like and everything else. I clocked, like, it's all about the momentum. I clocked, it's all about entertaining. So, like, with the venues and everything, you can get into a venue where the sound system is great. That's a luxury. That's great. Lasers, nice. But the reality is, you've got to move the crowd. You've got to get people into the building, and your reputation as a DJ, entertainer, it has to be flawless. It has to be immaculate, because for every 10 great moves that you make, you have one incident, it undoes everything. So you've always got to have an immaculate reputation. I learned that from house parties. I learned that from doing blues, shubs, and everything else.
Back then, you were listening to the radio.
Nah, it's I've been around, right? Things have changed. So from when I was coming through, there was only a couple of DJs on radio, and in Manchester there's a guy called Stu Allen. It was Pirate Radio. Pirate Radio was a lifesaver for everybody in every community. And then eventually you got Westwood on Radio 1, and then in the noughties, that's when everything changed, because then you had like One Extra. And then midway through the noughties, the streaming era came in, and then everything changed again. So a lot of things have been changing constantly, but the lifeline was mixtapes, it was the record shops, it was MTV Raps, it was Friends, it was like, have you seen, it was magazines that were getting imported in.
So there wasn't really any radio DJs that sort of influenced you, or that...
Not like it is now.
Right.
There would be one, like Stu Allen, who was on Q103,
Yeah.
legendary DJ.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he's inspired me to this day. But it was, you know, it wasn't like, now it's different. There's hundreds of DJs. There's like 10 different stations you can listen to, even though Capital X is the best one.
So in 2002, you start at Radio 1 Extra.
Yeah.
What was the vibe at the station at the time, you know? Do you remember what it was like back then?
Yeah, it was amazing. There was a guy there, there was a great team there. There was a guy called Wilberforce who was heading the whole thing up, and then there's a guy called Ray Paul. And when they reached out to me, they were asking for another DJ, a guy called Excalibur. So I was like, oh yeah, he works on my street team, but I DJ as well, you know. Like, you know, and they're like, yeah, we'll get you to do something every month. I was like, all right, cool, shit. So, and then what happened was, there was this thing called, it was Destiny's Child in the Park, and it was Destiny's Child, we were doing this big massive show in Finsbury Park, and there's a hip hop tent, the Rockers tent. I was DJing on that, and yeah, I was killing it. I was shelling. I was killing it. I was like Neo in the Matrix. It was just, everything I played, I was tearing it up. The crowd, it was one of my best gigs. What I didn't know is the guys from 1 Extra, those two guys were stood at the back, and they were like, yeah, we need to get on station. So, you see what I'm saying about reputation? You've always got to be on 1,000%. You've always got to be shining. You've always got to be in that situation where you're tearing it up. You can't follow. So they brought me onto the station. I never used to talk on radio. Like when I was doing pirate radio in Manchester, I was just like, you know, the silent DJ. I bring 2 MCs in to rap, and then I'd just be like the DJ. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Ray Paul, he was like, yeah, so you should start speaking. I was like, no, don't do that. He's like, no, just do it. I was like, I'm a bit shit. And he's like, no, just do it. Probably regrets that decision today, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, but from that, he gave me a chance, and that's the most important thing. Like, you know, you give someone a chance and they run with it, is non-stop. And he gave me a chance, he gave me the mentorship, he gave me the push, and that really set off my career in radio. I never thought I'd have a career in radio. I always wanted to be on a radio show, I always wanted to be like a DJ, but I never thought I'd be doing it to the extent that I'm doing it to this day. But it was down, he was one of the major stepping stones in pushing me to do that. So when you're talking about 1 Extra and how was it, that was invaluable mentorship that helped me and really put me on and helped me level up.
So you start doing the show, and feedback is coming back from the audience, from the industry. I mean, you know, what was the reaction to your show?
You know what? I'm not that industry guy. Like, I work in an industry, but me first and foremost, I'm here for the music, I'm here for the culture. So for me, what's more important is I'm amplifying the art of artists and taking it to an audience that might not know about it. That's all I'm doing. I'm not, you know, but I do it very well. And I go the extra mile, and I try to do what other people don't do. I try to go for music that I feel, you know, I'm early on everything. Like, I'm early on things, and people have laughed at me in the past.
Yeah.
Like, you know, which is cool. I get it. Like, because I've seen it year in and year out. So I'm like, all right, yeah, man. So
but the industry must have been bugging you to, you know, get their artists on your show, and you know, they must have been going crazy.
Nah, I was bugging the artists. Like, I'm talking to artists before labels are involved. It's not that, you know. And then with bigger artists, they, you know, they know I've got a reputation. I've had, most of the time, artists have asked to come on my show. I don't want to, you know, I'm here today to talk about the industry, but I've never played it like that. Like, it's just, I've just gone hard. I've gone hard, and then, you know, I've shined, and it attracts, you know. So it's never been, you know, there's people who do that. There's people who play that game, and they're relying on the industry to fuel their show, and they're relying, and they're given things to read out on air. I've never had that. I've never had someone write questions for me in an interview. Never. I know presenters who have that day in, day out. I know people who couldn't do an interview without that. I've never done that. I couldn't. I'd find it. Someone offered to do it when I moved to the news station. I was offended. I was like, I don't do that. Don't do things like that. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, again, it boils down to being a fan, being passionate about music. If you know music, you don't need to be told what to ask, and you don't need to know who to get on the show next. You don't need to know which artist you should be amplifying. You know.
So you get the gig to become Dizzy Rascals' official tour DJ.
Yeah.
You go on the road
Yeah.
with Dizzy.
Yeah.
I mean, life on the road. I mean, you got the chance to be a rock and roll star. Really, I mean, it must have been crazy.
I mean, the way that came about was, by that point I was working at a label and I was trying to sign Dizzy, but at the time, the industry didn't get it. They really didn't. They didn't get who he was, what he was about, or what his value was.
Right.
I could see it, you know. So I was like, so for me it was like, yeah, I want to do A&R, but the first one I want to sign is this guy. Like, and it was too much of a, it was too early, basically.
Record labels didn't get Dizzy.
No.
Of course it did.
No.
How come they didn't get Dizzy?
Because they only just get the rap thing now. Like, it took a minute to, oh sorry, you know what? I can't talking at the same time. I'm kind of trying to listen to what you're saying at the same time as saying what I'm saying. Sorry. So it's like they didn't get it. Like, they just didn't get it. So with Dizzy, I was trying to sign him. Cut a long story short, it didn't happen. I kind of got messed about because I got told, yeah, we'll help you and back you, but they had no intention of backing me and doing it. So then I got a bit pissed off. Carry on. So I stayed tight with Diz and his management, and then one time they're doing a show at One Extra. It was like an artist takeover.
Yeah.
But their DJ didn't turn up. I think, I'm not gonna say it was, but the DJ didn't turn up. So they were like, oh, Sam is supposed to be doing a show, you about? I was like, and them days I used to carry a box of crates in my van no matter where I went. I was like, yeah, I'll pass for you. I was in the area, so go and do the show. Sick show. So I'm playing instrumentals and Diz is freestyling and everything.
Really?
And that's how I became his DJ, because that was it. So it went from that, and then they were like, oh, we've got our first ever show in Dublin next week. Do you wanna? I was like, yeah. And then it was just 8 years later. You know?
Life on the road. I mean, did you enjoy life on the road?
It's amazing. And again, you know, that whole thing was saying about someone giving you a chance. Like, Dizzy gave me a chance. Like, it wasn't, he could have been like, I'm going for this DJ with a big name and or whatever. But it was just, he just gave me a shot. He just gave me a chance. We connected, and then it just grew into something, and it went from doing 1,000 people in a club or whatever to doing 10,000 people to 50,000 people, and then doing 100,000 people at Glastonbury. Yeah, it's mad.
Wow.
It's mad because with him, he was a trailblazer. No one had done what he was doing at the time.
Yeah.
So even to this day, I don't think no UK rapper has done it so in South America.
He is a trailblazer. That's why that's why it's shocking for me to hear that record labels weren't interested.
Oh yeah. But it will happen again. There'll be another kid who comes along who is incredible. They won't get it, and it'll turn into something. It just happens. It's just whether people are ready for it or not, and that's what it was. He's ahead of his time.
Definitely.
So yeah, at the time, it was difficult to comprehend. Like the way you're saying it now, I had years of that. But because I'm like, I knew what he meant to the culture. I knew what he would mean, like to the masses, you know. But it's just how it is, you know.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, you're being very modest. You know, you're telling me you're just a DJ. You know, but in 2016, you made your debut as an author with your book.
Yeah.
Hip Hop Raised Me.
Yeah.
Now, naturally, you wanted to tell your story, and I'm sure it's an amazing story. But did the book serve any other purpose for you? I mean, were there kind of things you wanted to say about the industry? Feelings you wanted to express?
I mean, basically, what the book came about was because I wanted to do a book called Tragedy to Triumph, and it's a Kanye lyric as well. It says it through the wire. And I was like, it would be cool to do like a self-help book where each chapter is based on a rapper who's been through some mad adversity but turned their lives around. So because I interviewed Kanye 6 times, 50 Cent several times, I've got all the stories anyway. So, but I wanted to partner with a book company and go in deep, like get the medical records and everything else and get more info. So I got approached by a book company and they were like, yeah, that's nice, but we all need to do the book on hip hop. And I was like, I can't do the book on hip hop, it's too big. Like you need scholars, 40 scholars to do that. And then I was listening to a Macklemore My Lewis track called Can't Hold Us, and there's a lyric that says, what do you expect when Wu-Tang raised you? So I was like, I was raised on Public Enemy, I was raised on this group, that group, and I was like, I was raised on hip hop, and that's how it came up. So then I thought, I could do a book on hip hop from my perspective, because as a DJ who's toured with Dizzy, done the clubs, done a radio show for X amount of years, I've interviewed most artists in hip hop. There's only a couple like Dr. Dre and Outkast that I haven't interviewed. So I was like, yeah, I can do a book on this from my perspective. So, you know, recently someone said, oh, you haven't got Scarface in your book. I said, that wasn't part of my thing, you know. So yeah, that's why it's not in the book. But everything that's in the book is what I've grown up listening to or been a part of or worked with or experienced. There's a little bit of my own thing in there about how it helped me personally, but and the book, you know, Ghostface Killer described it as the Bible of hip hop. There's a few people have said that. I've not said that. Rappers have said that, which is a massive, mind-blowing compliment. But it's a very, very dope marker for the culture that documents a certain period in time and the greatness of what it represents.
In 2018. After 15 years, you know, you leave One Extra and you join the #1 competitor, Capital Extra. And this is a station that changed their name from Choice FM just to compete with BBC One Extra. You know, they wanted to go up against them. So why did you decide to move? And what was people's reaction?
Do you want the truth or do you want the...
You know what I want.
No, or do you want the diplomatic industry version?
No, you know
I mean, it's very, very simple. The truth was, you know... Alright, so... I've done podcasts before. I did my first podcast in 2009. I was backstage at South by Southwest. I was with the entire Good Music roster of artists. And I was like... I should be documenting this. So I was like, I need to do this new thing called podcasting. And I looked into it and I was like, I was just like producing a radio show, I can do this. So while I was out there, I did it, put it together and put it online. And then years later when I was doing the book, I was like, I got too many great interviews that are not going to see the light of day. I'm going to do podcasts. That's how I came up with the Hip Hop Raised Me podcast. And then a couple of years later, a very good friend of mine was working at Spotify, a guy called Austin DeBow. And he was like, we want you to do the Who We Be podcast. I was like, yeah, definitely. I'm going to do that. And then I did it. I signed up and I just did it. And then there's a couple of people who were working at One Extra at the time who were like, oh no, you can't do that. And we're really annoyed. You shouldn't be doing this and that. And So I'm like, this is the future. And I said, me doing a podcast on Spotify is going to bring a bigger audience to my show and your station. It's actually a very good move. Oh, no. So I was like, all right, cool. So they were upset about that. So then I got up for the second season. And yeah, of course I'm going to do it, you know. So they were like, I said, look, you got upset when I told you last time. Afterwards, I'm telling you now, I've been approached and I want to do it. And there was two people who were there, and one of them was like, oh, you know, let me get back to you in 4 days, and And there's another person who just had no intention of letting it go through. And the guy who was like, oh, let me get back to you in 4 days, I said to someone, why don't you need 4 days for a decision? What is it, a process? And he said, no, that's just how they can figure out how long, that's just so they can figure out a way to tell you no. So he's giving himself 4 days to do that. 4 days later, oh, Sam, you know. So I said, have you asked your boss? See, the thing is, you know, I've always told my kids, never let anybody take like never let anybody take the piss, or don't take shit from anyone, right? Those words are in my mind when this guy's talking to me, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, how can I be saying this and then putting up with this nonsense? And then I had a flashback to an interview I did with DJ Khaled the year before at his mansion in Beverly Hills, and he said he came off radio after 15 years because it felt like a good thing. And I was like, yeah, I've done radio for 15 years, and yeah, I want to move on. And I'm like, I'm not taking this shit. So I was just like, oh, it's cool, I'm out. Oh no. I said, no, it's cool. I said, cool, I'm out, done. Oh, but what about a person? I don't give a fuck. I'm telling you now, I'm out. And he was like, oh, but da, 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 da. And I think the way that the BBC and One Extra, especially the way that they've handled DJs in the past is disgusting. Like, to tell them, yeah, we're not continuing, press release goes out 5 minutes later. So you're not doing that to me. I'm telling you now, I'm out, and it's done. And the draft that I had, the post that I did to announce my departure, I had that written a year before because I knew that day was coming. So, and that was it. So, left radio, took a deep breath. But I'm doing podcasts, different, new day, right? 2 days later, I get a call from Capital Extra. There's a guy working there called Al Smith. He said, can we have a coffee? So I have a coffee. And he says, look, love what you do. Love to have you on the station. He said, we've got other legends on the station. We need someone for a Friday night. We'd love it if you'd come on the station. Da 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 da. And it was just such a different approach from the BBC, where it was amazing in the beginning, it's just gone into straight bureaucracy and politics and nonsense.
Sure.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. It was just because I love DJing. I love being on there on a Friday night. It was actually, if anything, it might have been a bit erratic of me to leave because I love it so much. I mean, I had a week off once on a Friday night. I didn't know what to do with myself. I was like, is this what people do on a Friday night? I was like, I just sat on the couch, like, not knowing what to do. So it is basically, what I took from that is you can't be, you got to be fearless in making your decisions and moving along, and just don't take no shit from no one and just keep it moving. I love One Extra and what it's done and everything else. I've got some great friends who work over there and everything. Is 2 individuals. So I just want to make that clear. It wasn't, I'm not like on a fuck the station or anything like that. It was just, but there's 2 people who they were hindering my progress. Sure. And I just chose a different course of action. But with regards to Capital Extra, amazing station, amazing people, great DJs, and it's dope to be a part of the family. So.
I mean, a lot of my students tell me that, they don't listen to radio. They're quite happy with their Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even own a radio. They're telling me, radio's not important. Do you feel we're losing a generation of radio listeners to the streaming platforms?
I think everyone's a curator because of technology. Everyone's got access to music. Everyone's got access to new music on a Friday. But not everyone wants to curate every week. Not everybody wants to do that. Sometimes you're driving a car, you just want to hear something, and I think there's still a space for radio. But I get it, it's not as much an appointment to listen as what it used to be 10 or 20 years ago. Yeah. But that experience of when you're outside, when you're driving around and everything else, you're not always going to be wanting to go to the same playlist or whatever. I mean, with streaming services that have their flagship playlists, they change all the time. You never, It's like it's a different experience altogether. So I think you're probably going to see something else emerge as well, which is going to fight for the attention of the listener, and that could be whatever TikTok evolves into. It could be something else or a new platform that will come out any day now, basically.
So you're now doing the Hip Hop Raised Me podcast. Yeah. Do you think podcasts are possibly a way of getting young people back into radio?
I just think it's a great thing. I think with radio's radio, podcasts are podcast, streaming, and whoever picks up on it, great. I think there's always cycles. I think you're saying this about radio, but if you look at the rise of No Signal and what they've done, it's pretty amazing. New station, and they're popping in the middle of a pandemic and a global shutdown. Like, there's no rules. There's nothing to say that this is better than that, or this is going to do this, or this is going to lead into that. I think every individual and every platform has to be great. You have to be proactive, you have to be inspiring, you have to be forward thinking, you have to be celebrating and curating great artistry. And I think that's everyone's role, regardless of whether it's speech, music, or anything else.
And you're enjoying doing the podcast.
I love everything I do. I'm living my dreams. No, I do, seriously, because it's you've got to go hard, you've got to do everything that you want to do in life. You can't, I never want to be one of them people like, I should have done that, you know.
But I mean, there are still young people that want to get into radio. Yeah,
Definitely.
You're still talking.
I get DMs all the time. Like, how can I get my start? How can I get people hitting me up starting podcasts. Like, and the beautiful thing is now, it's like, all right, okay. So let me put it this way, right? You can set up your own playlist. You can set up your own podcast. You can set up your own broadcast. There's ways and there's platforms that you can do that online. You can, I see kids on TikTok, right, who are in the bedroom playing tracks and doing a bit of a bop. 200,000 viewers. That's power.
Yeah.
Like, my good friend Ant, who runs I'm Just Bait, he's got 4.7 million followers. He's got a 12th of the population following him. KSI, I can't even keep up to date with his stats. He's probably got a quarter of the population following him now. Like, why are we talking about platforms? Like, the individual has the power to create many platforms and attract an audience. However, it doesn't matter whether it's through the gram, whether it's YouTube, whether it's whatever, it's all the same thing. It's all the same. It's putting together a show of entertainment.
Yeah.
So, there's kids who are figuring it out that are way ahead of all of us in this room. There's kids who've got the keys for what's next. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, it's like everything's inspiring. I think there's no rules. I think anyone can get it in. You just got to figure out your path and figure out a way to attract whatever you're looking for. If you're looking for an audience, great. If you're looking to do the thing with memes, great. If you're looking just to do it from an artist point of view, great. But just be the best at it, and that's it.
I mean, a young kid coming to you saying, I really want to be a radio DJ. Where do I start? What do I do? What would you say to him?
I just say, just do it online straight away. Just get into it. Do a podcast, do a playlist, do this, do that. Just work with artists, everything. That if there's an artist in your ends that you think needs more exposure, manage them. Like, just do whatever. Like, there's no set route. Like, you can, it's like saying to an artist, send a demo to a label. And days are over. Days went in the 90s. So, like, how do I get onto radio? You're going to send a mix to a station? The stations already know who's hot. They already know who's popping because they watch everything. They see everything that's going on. And if you're popping and you're great at what you do, you're going to get a call anyway.
I mean, down the years, you've seen a lot of artists come and go, like burn really brightly and then just disappear. Many of them come into your radio studio. You've observed them at close quarters. You had a chance to see their artistry and their entourage and the way they conduct themselves and everything. Some of these artists are still around today. Why do some artists have staying power? And why do some fade away very quickly?
Because they want it. That's it. There's no magic wand. It's that pursuit of excellence. It's that commitment to their craft. I've seen it again and again, right? If you constantly focus on the music, if you constantly focus on providing the best experience for your audience, you're gonna win. And that's all it boils down to. Because everything else follows. The shows follow, the money follows, the look follows, like the phone calls follow. But the most important thing is that commitment to your art. The most important thing is waking up every day thinking, how can I be great and how can I, you know, it's they want it. The ones that want it do it. And I saw the living example of that with Dizzy. Like, I saw his commitment. Like, he was, at the time, he was like 16, 17, and would be in the airport. He'd be buying DVDs of biographies and watching. He'd absorb everything because he wanted to be the best artist possible. He'd rehearse. He knew the importance of going to this country and that country, and then he valued his fans. He knew the importance of tapping into different audiences. We got offered to do the Red Hot Chili Peppers tour. We do hip hop and grime, and it's a rock audience.
Wow.
And we're on a stage before, mind blowing.
Yeah.
And you're in countries that don't even speak your language, but the energy, the performance, it always shines through. So that was a fascinating thing. Like, me and him, we went to Tokyo to do a show very early on, and we got lost because the signs, there's no English signs, so we were just wandering around the streets of Tokyo.
Yeah.
And when we came to do the show and the actual event, it was like the crowd reacts differently over there. It's like they don't cheer or mosh in the same way they do it. It's just like they wait until you finish and then they clap. It's really like, it threw us off because we were like, oh, fucking up. And it was a cultural difference.
Yeah.
But to some people will be like, I'm never going back there. Some people will be like, why am I going over there? I'm not doing that. Or some people will be like, it's not enough money, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
He was very, very, very clued up from early on. Another artist that I've worked with in a different capacity is Kanye West. And again, he was always gonna do what he's doing. He's one of the most important people in popular culture now. He's surpassing what he did in music. He's surpassing what he does as a rapper. Like, I've got his shoes on. You know, most of you in here probably watched the listening party in front of 40,000 people that they paid $80 a ticket to witness a guy doing press-ups. Is these guys want it. So when you're talking about certain people, and I'm not saying everyone should be Dizzy or Kanye or anything else, but it's just from the examples from what I've seen, the ones that want it, get it. And that's it.
So the people that faded away, those people who have kind of shone brightly for, whatever, an album and then disappeared, they didn't want it enough.
I'm not saying that, and I'm not saying anything to be disrespectful to anybody or in any way, but some people find it hard. Some people realize it's not for them. Some people have done what they wanted to. I know an artist who was like, I've done 100,000 albums, that's all I ever wanted to do. There's some people who've got different goals in mind. Right. So that's not to discredit anyone who isn't, there's situations that, maybe they didn't have the right team around them or whatever. But the ones that want it and the ones that are meticulous to detail, the ones that work 20, they get it. You're seeing it now with Stormzy. It's like Dave, like they want it and they get it, So, and that's it. I can give you examples for days. So, when I was working at a label in 2015, I signed this artist who I thought was incredible, right? And she's a female rapper. And when I signed her, people were looking at me like, yeah, alright, Sam. It was like, in the building, it was like, it's one of them, but it's 7 minutes, so you probably know something's gonna. and she is a big girl, right? So people were even more like, no one said anything, but I could see it in their faces. They were like, when people do that? Yeah, right, Sam. Like, yo, if someone does this when you're talking to them, yo, change the conversation. Just know that they're uncomfortable with what you're saying, right? There was a lot of that. That girl was Lizzo. Look at her now. And I'm not saying I had the vision that she was going to do that. I'm not trying to claim that at all. But I thought she was a dope rapper. For that first album that she did, where I just thought this is going to turn into something. And she was like, I went to New York to sign her, and then we would go to this restaurant. It's just like it's called Ninja, and it was dope. It was like a Japanese restaurant, and people dressed as ninjas. Like it's like it's sick. They slam doors and throw shit at you and everything. It's great. And she kept screaming with laughter, like she loved it. But the thing is, she was like a massive fan of Beyonce then. She kept singing like Beyonce and everything. So she was always going to do what she wanted to do. And, you know, some guy over here, I believed in it. We licensed the album for 20 grand. I didn't know what to do, bro. I just thought she was dope. Like, I just was like, yeah, we should do this. And then at the time, it was like, I had no idea what it was going to turn into. But I'm just saying, she went off. She wanted it.
Yeah.
Now, the industry, they didn't know that.
Yeah.
They didn't give a fuck about it then. They weren't, now Sam, you've got one here, like, let's make sure, They didn't care. It was like, no one had that foresight. It was like, but it was a chain of events that took her to where she is now, to who she is now. And that's what I'm saying, she wanted it.
She's on it. She's on it all day, every day,
she wants
isn't
it.
she?
She's amazing. She's an amazing artist.
I follow her on Instagram, and she's on it all day, every day.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
And she was coming over here on tour. She was doing Wireless, right? 2016. None of you watched her. None of you were there. Because no one rated her. Right? I was doing shows. I put her on for, I did a first show in the UK, right? It was on my night called Survival. We did it at birthdays. It was all 6 music listeners. Like, the black stations didn't want to play this stuff. It was really weird. It was like, she was getting positioned in a left field corner just by a default. It was just weird that, you know, but now.
She's amazing. So like you've done a wide variety of things. You are eminently qualified to be an unbelievable artist manager. You know,
I don't want to do that. I know.
What if somebody amazingly talented came to you and said, "Manage me"?
I'd put them in touch with a good manager. you know what, right? There's excellent managers. There's people who are excellent at what they do. My priority is me, DJ Semtex. I manage myself.
But wouldn't you make a great manager? Come on.
There's people better. It's like it's just because I think the other thing is as well is that manager artist dynamic is very complex, and you got to be very, very patient, and you got to be very understanding. And it's like maybe it's something I'll do down the line.
Okay.
Like I could do it. I could do anything I want. But it's not what I want to do right now. And I think it's there's some people who are just excellent managers who they do management. Like, you know, I'll point people, you should go with this person or that person will be, you know, give that person a ring, you know.
And the future, what's next?
Everything.
What do you want to do?
I want to continue to do what I'm doing, work with great artists. I love DJing, make a difference, preserve the culture, because I feel like I feel like it can very easily be skewed, it can be very easily abused, and that's by people within it as well. I just think there's got to be some kind of conscious effort to make sure the right artists get the right support and the right music sees the right light of day. And I think everyone should. I'm not trying to be, hey, I'm here to do that. I'm saying we all should be. We've all got a part to play in that, whether you're a DJ, blogger, manager, artist, or whatever. Everyone's got that duty to protect their genre, you know. And yeah, I'm making music.
You are making music?
Yeah.
What you doing?
Hip hop.
No, but I mean, you know, so what, are you the DJ Khaled?
Producer? No. I'm a producer. I was making tracks before I moved down here. But when you move to London, you can't. It's a hustle. It's a grind. I don't come from a wealthy family. Like, I've had a good upbringing, but when I moved down here, I was by myself. You know, I've had to hustle and grind and everything else. So when you're doing the day-to-day grind and you're DJing and your radio and everything else, it's like something's gonna give. So the production thing, but it got put on the back burner. But you know, but I want to continue doing everything I'm doing.
So featured rappers on your tunes?
Yeah.
Signed artists, unsigned artists?
Whoever's great.
Whoever's great.
Yeah.
Great.
It's true, right? I hope you signed on that.
Cool.
Whoever's great. It's
So,
like-
so unsigned artists could appear on your album. I mean, this is big.
yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Yeah.
How does an unsigned artist?
You'll see in September.
Okay. Okay. Listen, we're going to take some questions from the audience. Is there anybody who would like to ask this legendary person a question?
Oh,
Go for it, man.
what's your advice for young coming artists?
Alright, simple answers be great, right? But you're gonna do that, right? If you can sit there and call yourself an artist, or if you can stand on the stage and rap, sing, whatever, it's just go hard, like, and you got to figure out your lane. Like, look at your favorite artist. Look at your favorite artist and learn their history, learn their trajectory, learn how they came through and everything else. And it's probably different, if your favorite artist is, I don't know, whether it's Giggs or whether it's Kendrick Lamar or whether it's Dave, like whoever, whatever their path was, yours is going to be different. It's a different day, right? What they've been through in the last 5 to 10 years, totally different to the way you can come through now. So learn the rules of the game, learn that side of things, focus on your craft, make the best music possible, and build your own community, build your own audience. They say there's that whole thing about a fan a day. Yeah, definitely. Like, just and talk to your fans. Like, some of your fans will be your biggest supporters for life. There'll be some people, that guy that keeps hitting you in DM, keep hitting him back, because that guy or that girl will be the person that will always back you. It could be your number one fan, So build your fan base, concentrate on your craft. That's what I say.
Well, that's one of the things I keep telling my students. I keep telling them, social media is about being social.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's like social media is not just posting things. Social media is about talking to your people.
Yeah, I mean, Lady Leisha's incredible. Like, incredible artist, right? But the way she talks to her fans, the way she's done it, the way she's grown her YouTube fan base, there's a reason why she's got more followers than anybody else, like, in her lane. It's because she's grown her fan base. She's not put out an album yet, but she's got, like, I've forgotten what it is, like, but she's got the most followers on YouTube, and is because she's tapped in and focused on her audience, and she feeds them. She does freestyles, she does videos all the time. To some people, they might look at it like, it's another Alicia video. So the fans is like, another Alicia video. You see what I'm saying? So just feed your fans, man. Give them what they want.
Definitely. Any more questions from the audience, young lady?
What are your top tips like as a DJ? Like, what do you think are like the keys to know?
For a DJ?
Yeah,
Are you a DJ?
DJ.
Yeah, okay. Alright, so there's the basic ones, which are read the crowd. You gotta be able to read the crowd quick, because every audience is different. Move the crowd, no matter what, give them what they want. If they wanna hear Afro beats, give them Afro beats. If they wanna hear drill, go in with the drill set, and whatever it is to get it cooking. If you got an hour set, you gotta plan out that set so that you are distinctive enough from the riffraff before you or after you, right? So you gotta look at it, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta kill it with your set. So you gotta be creative. You can't just play the hits. There's gotta be a journey in music, and you've gotta show that you've got a thought in your set that's different to everybody else, and there's flair. You need that flair as well, and the way you look. That's an important thing. So I'd say top tips. So I'd say, yeah, obviously read the crowd, know your crowd, read the room, get creative with the sets and everything else. Number one, be prepared. Number one, you've gotta be prepared. Right, so I do a radio show every week, right? So my hard drive of music, 50% of it is dirty for the club, 50% of it is clean for the radio. If I play a dirty track on the radio, I'm getting fired. If I play a radio track in a festival where the swearing's cut out, they're looking at me like I'm a dickhead. Like, they're just, people will just stop dancing, like, tweaks.
Yeah.
He's playing clean edits at the
Yeah,
show. What is this? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you've got to be prepared for whatever the situation is.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, when I say preparation as well, if you plan out your set, you know what you're doing. You're confident, no stress, right? But if you got 10 sets planned out, right, you're gonna walk into a rave cocky, right? Because whatever this riff-raff DJ before you was playing, you're gonna tear him apart and make him look stupid, because you're gonna see, well, you didn't do that, you didn't do that, you didn't do that, you didn't do that. So you got to have your sets prepared, like it's straight preparation, and that just wins. You know, like you'll see video clips of big super DJs where there's one track that they played and the crowd's going off. All right, but to get to that point, you know, the whole set's got to lead to that or be like that. You can't. It doesn't just happen. It doesn't. You don't just turn up and then hands in the air, and it's a lot of work and it's a lot of reputation building. Be selective with where you DJ. If it's a shit rave, don't do it. If it's a venue that's got a bad reputation or there's trouble, don't do it, because you're gonna get promoters or venue managers who are like, well, this person was there the other day. That messed me up a lot in the beginning. And that's it, and go hard.
Any more questions from the floor? Go for it.
Like when you're networking, you're meeting new people. Say you walk into a room, there's no one you know, but you know that there's good people in that room that you need to talk to. What's your way of kind of going into a room and figuring that out? Who's worth talking to, and kind of like get yourself out there when it's a professional situation?
Kind of in a different situation now, because I'm at a point where I know most people already, or you know, if I'm kind of known, so someone will be like, oh, like, all right, so in my situation, what I do now, so say if I didn't know Lindsay, and say if I wanted to speak to him, I just stand near him, and I guarantee you, I would, I just stand near him, and I guarantee you at some point, you're Semtex, oh yeah, I'll be like, you know, that works, but it's kind of at the level that I'm at. But what I used to do is, and what you should do in your situation is, you need to know who's in the room. You need to know who's in the room, clock who they are, clock what they look like, and have 3 things to talk about. So when you introduce yourself, it's like, hey, I'm doing this and Conversation could end, and they're like, nice to meet you. Ask them 3 questions. Have the 3 questions in your mind lined up and related to what they do, and give them a compliment. So say it's, I don't know, say it's a videographer that you want to meet, right? And you want to talk to. Hey, how you doing? And then, I love what you did with such and such a video. How did you do that? And they love that. That person, no matter what they do, oh yeah, I did that, because you break the ice, you break the barrier, you start conversation, you get the information, build a relationship. It's the best thing to do.
Any more questions from the floor? Go for it.
How would you go about branding yourself? You see, like when you first started, obviously, it was all up and down, left and right, but see, once you start being more professional with it, you have to brand yourself. Couldn't, innit? How did you start? Did you start with like who you are, like a picture, for instance?
Yeah.
That's a brand. That's you, innit?
Yeah.
Brand. So how did you go about like putting yourself to make yourself know that no matter what, you have to always be a brand?
Okay, so whether you're a DJ or an artist, get a logo. If you're a manager or a tour manager, or if you're doing any kind of, have a logo, so people know that it's your work. So for instance, when you see Casey Locke's videos, you can tell by the graphics it's him. There's other videographers, they've got their own logos and everything else. With most producers, you know, whether it's J5 or M1, they've all got their identity. It's the same thing, they just do it from an audio point of view. So whether it's visually or whether it's audio, have that ident or logo or whatnot. Now if you're an artist, it's almost like you have to, this is just my opinion, it's almost like you've got to self-stereotype yourself. So I'm a hip hop DJ, right? So I had a situation earlier this week where it's the GRM Gala, and I thought I'd make an effort, you know what I mean? So I wore a tie, right? I saw my good friend Akala, take a picture together. Somehow the picture ends up and made you think. They go for me in the comments. Oh, security. Right. Had I wore this, had I wore that, Semtex. You see what I'm saying? So it's like I deliberately wear hoodies everywhere. One, because I feel comfortable, but two, it's my thing. Yeah. So it's almost like stereotyping. Today I was like, all right, should I be smart today? I'm doing a talk at LCCM. Should I make an effort and wear a nice sweatshirt? No, I didn't.
What made you choose that? What made you choose that?
Today or
today? What made you choose to bring your brand? This is you, as you say.
Because we're talking about music. We're talking about the industries, and you know what? This is our just all the time anyway. So it's just like. I made an effort. It's a new hoodie. Yeah, it's the new range, right? So it hasn't been worn before. So, but it's still a black hoodie. You know what I'm saying? It's like trying to switch it. Trying to get different colors and everything. But it's also good for when you're on stage because it's comfortable and everything else. Going back to what you were saying about DJing, you don't want to be looking. You don't want sweat stains. You don't want. You can't wear white. Like if you spill a bit of a drink, it's a wrap. It looks sloppy. Like and someone takes a picture. One of your fans takes a picture. Oh, son had a bad day. You know what I mean? The biggest fear I've got at the moment is memes. I don't know if you saw it. Alright, I don't know if you saw it. I pulled up right today. Right. I pulled up. I fell asleep in the car. So when I pulled up. Moses woke me up. He was like, "Oh, we're here." I was like, I saw people outside. I was like, "Shit!" I was like, "You got to drive around the corner." And I swear, like people must have thought I was trying to be extra or whatever. But I can't get. If I fall out of the car, like with sleep eyes, I might stumble. Like it could be wrong. Like, I failed in front of LCCM. You see what I'm saying? Always got to be conscious of everything. So I had a long one last night. I was on air last night. Then I was making beats till 3 a.m. So. Yeah, I fell asleep in the car. It's a nice whip. It's like,
How do you feel the pressure?
No pressure.
No pressure.
It's no pressure, man.
I like that.
It's no pressure. It's like, look, doing the regular job's pressure. That's hard. Like, that's the hardest thing. Like, doing a job you don't want to do, but you gotta do it. That's hard. Like, I'm fortunate to be able to do what I love doing every day. And even with things that you could refer to as pressure, it's never that deep. It's never that bad. Like I get to play music that are like loud, very loud. I come here today, we're in the green room. Oh, can I use the speakers? Yeah, I play music. He heard it. He heard my forthcoming release. What do you think? Is it any good? What do you think?
Fire.
Right. Yeah, he heard it. So it's like. Yeah, it's no pressure, man. It's just, but it is. I am working as hard as when I first was doing house parties. Like it doesn't get any easier. That's the one thing I say. Like people think that it's non-stop. But if you love what you do, you don't even clock it. That's it basically.
Any more questions from the floor? Go for it.
When you said about reading the crowds when you DJ, I kind of understand that, but what kind of signs are you looking for? Just people dancing and not dancing?
Yeah. Alright, if everyone stood around, it's a problem. No, but there's degrees to it. There's degrees. Like I did a boat party the other night, and it was amazing. It was like my first party after 18 months, right? So I'm gonna keep saying this. 18 months after that. We're all gonna do that, by the way. It's my first in 18 months. My first after 18 months, right? Yeah. So it's my first party after 18 months, and I was like, the DJ before was killing it. By the way, this guy called DJ Cable was killing it, and I was like, this guy could be a problem for me. So I'm just here like, and I'm thinking that, but I'm looking calm. I'm like, you're right, bro. I stood next to him, like. And when you stand next to a DJ, it's kind of like wishful thinking to get off earlier so you can get on, right? So I'm stood next to him, and I'm like, all right, okay, I see what he's doing. And he played a lot, so he said, do you mind if I said, bro, do you, bro? Play whatever you want, it's cool, all right? So when I come on, I've got to switch it up. I've got to make sure people know it's my time. It's different from him, right? So straight away I start playing different types of music. So I know what he's been playing. He's got the party on fire. I cannot have a dip. I cannot have a lull. I have to continue and do that, right? So I get on straight away. Naughty's R&B, never goes wrong, right? So got women on the dance floor, everyone's going crazy, dropping tracks, they scream at every track. It's easy, right? So, and then this guy's like, oh, Semtex, I need you to play LL Cool J and A. Marie, Paradise. I was like, I'll do it in a bit. The crowd right now, right? They're very aggy. I don't know if it's because it's like they've just come out or something, but no, I want to hear it now. Like, you know, like everyone, I had it a few times that night. Yeah, it was like that. So I was like, all right. So I played the track, right? I've never played it in my life before in a club, but I'm like, all right, I'll do it tonight. The crowd keeps moving, it fits in with the remit of Naughty's R&B. So then what I do is, all right, because it contains a sample of Mary Jane Girls All Night Long, I play that.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll be into it, but I'm gonna play it because we're on the Thames. The lights look amazing. It's a classic R&B track. Can't go wrong. Play it. They love it. Singing along to it. Probably don't even know what it is. Most people on the boat weren't even born when that track was made. Doesn't matter. Rings, right? So, but then I switch it to hard rap, right? Hard US trap going off. Then it's time. UK drill. So it's done. Mosh pits on the boat, never had that before. So do you see what I'm saying? In the set, continued, leveled up. It's a fucking great night.
Takes experience though.
Yeah. It does. I value every gig, right?
That sounds dangerous. A mosh pit on a boat.
It was.
Was it rocking?
Well, you know what it is, because all of these boats are like very, they were made like in the 80s or whatever, so it's got the wooden floors, right? So everyone's slipping everywhere because like the alcohol all over the floor, like sweat, whatever, and then there's people trying to mosh and slide in is a mess, right? So, but I think with every gig's important. Like whether there's 200 people there, 2,000 people there, it's like, and they all build to key events. Like I've been fortunate to do some amazing shows. I love festivals. When Skepta asked me to DJ at his show at Alexandra Palace, that was actually, I actually realized that, it was 15,000 people, right? Of course I tore it up, amazing. I'm a bit confident, right? So comes with the role. And it was like, and I realized I actually envisioned that moment when I was a kid. That's what I always wanted. When I was in the bedroom with the shit turntables, I used to imagine I was DJing to a crowd of thousands of people, and it looked exactly like that moment. It looked exactly like that venue. So, but it's that thing, if you want it, you're built for it. If you want it, you're gonna do it. If you work hard, you're built. It's expected. It's not a surprise. It's what you've worked all your life to get to that point.
Questions anymore, young man?
So if you're putting all your energy and passion into something, how do you avoid like burnout?
I don't even know what to say to them.
Don't burn out.
Sorry, I'm not being flippant. I just don't. I don't know. All I've ever done is work. Like all I've ever done is go hard, and I rarely say no to opportunity. I think I said no once to an opportunity. Just you get offered stuff, just take it and think about it later. Like there's been weeks where I'm like, I just need to get through this week. I just need to do this. I just need to do that, and you get through it, and then that's it. I'm more conscious now more than ever. I need to eat healthy. I need to sleep properly. I need to exercise. Like I try to not eat after 7. Started boxing. And I'm just more conscious. It's like, because you got to protect your mind as well. It's a good point, but I've never, and there's probably moments when I probably have been burnt out and never really, there's times when it's not burnout, but when I had my first failure, that was hard because at my first, we got time?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so you seem a bit eager.
No, go for it.
All right, so I start doing A&R at a label, right? And it's the early noughties. First thing we wanted to sign was Dizzy. Didn't happen. I was gutted, gutted. Then the next thing I signed, like one of the guys who was in charge of A&R was like, "What's the biggest record?" And I said, it's Fat Man Scoop. It's been out for years though, but it's still the biggest record. Like it was at the time, the Be Faithful track, and everyone was trying to sign it. Every label at the time, there was like 11 labels trying to sign it, and I was like, yeah, I can get that. It's being copied, like because the way that I'm looking at it is, I do hip hop, and in hip hop, everyone kind of knows each other.
Yeah.
It's like an unwritten. It's a community. DJs know DJs. Like if someone tweeted me the other day, I saw Semtex. This person was DJing for some company in Victoria Station, and she wrote, I gave him the DJ nod. And that when you see some walk in a club, you know that nod, like what's going on? Like that's it, and that means a lot of things, right? So and it's like when you're in hip hop, it's like you got like a passport. Like I can talk to artists and DJs and other people better than anyone on the label ever will. It's just because I'm in the culture, right? So I've got that cultural passport. Yeah, I can speak to Scoop. I never met him before, but I know I could. So flight to New York is my first time ever like going to the US and someone else paying for it. So it's like that's the best thing ever when you work for a record label and they pay for you to go to the US.
Cool.
Like, mind blowing at first.
Nice.
So I'm there for 2 days and I couldn't get a meeting with him. So I thought, oh shit, I'm gonna fuck up. Like I'll shit myself, right? And then I'm due to fly out at 9 in the morning. After being in New York for 2-3 days, I get a phone call 2 in the morning. It says meet me at this diner on blah 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 street in Manhattan at 4 a.m. I'm like, alright, cool.
Whoa.
There's no, I'm sleeping and I've got to get a flight at 9. You just got to do it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm there, 4 a.m. in the morning, I'm watching him eat like a 3-course meal. And I'm like, he was like, so I thought, I didn't know what was going to happen. And he was just like, so what do you want me to sign? I didn't even speak to him about it. I was just like, I've got to get the paperwork and da-da-da-da. I was like, yeah, I fuck with you, Semtex. I was like, all right, cool. So I got it, right? There was 11 samples in the record.
Yeah.
I cut them all out to 3. So we only ended up clearing 3. People don't know to this day there was only ever 3 samples in the track that came out, right? Just did it. While everybody was trying to figure out how to clear this one, that one, and the other, I just cut it down to 3. Did the edit, but that's the DJ side of me. Do the edit and everything else. Goes to number 1. Goes to number 1 for 2 weeks. Number 1 all over the world, and everything else. He's popping. Everyone knows him as a household name. The next thing that I signed didn't go to number 1. And when you sign something for number 1 and then people on the label are bringing you bottles of Cristal and everything, that's what it was at the time. They're like, oh, you're that guy. I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm fucked because this is not going to happen again for a very long time, right? And it didn't. So the next thing that I signed, bombed, right? And that saying, success has many fathers and failure, I learned that one. And the result, I'm not going to say what that act is, but, and even, I just wanted someone to just give me a hug and say it'll be alright. It didn't happen. So you just get gutted. And I was just like, you start doubting yourself. You're like, I'm not that good. You start thinking, maybe this isn't for me, and this, that, and the other. And that is not burnout, but that, it was I probably had a bit of borderline depression at that time because it was like, I moved from Manchester, I'm funding myself, I'm reliant on a job, and this, that, and the other. You learn from failure though. Failure teaches. I know that now. Yeah. But at the time, it's like, you're like, shit, I'm a failure. and then it's like, there's no one says to you, nah, you're cool, or nah, next one, keep it moving. No one does that. Like, so you are by yourself. And it's like, and you're thinking my reputation. You're thinking when you go out, everyone's looking at you like, oh, you fucked up. Like, and the reality is, if you do fuck up, what next? And that's it. But it takes you years to learn that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
so that's not really burnout, but it is more of being able to be comfortable with the ups and downs of your career. That's definitely something. But you only get through it as you go on. That's it.
Yeah. JD, where we're at? Time? He's doing this. He's doing this. So I think we need to wrap it up. People, can you please say thank you to DJ Semtex?